And good evening to you all. It is an extreme pleasure for me to welcome you to the webinar Open Dialogo in Conversation, Disability, Dance and Inclusive Creativity. I'm very happy to help you discover the Open Dialogo project and meet some of the protagonists of the second edition of this project. My name is Aristide Rontini. I'm a person with disability. I'm an Italian choreographer and performer and independent advisor to the Open Dialogo project. I'm in my 40s, a white man. I have hair, not that much. I wear glasses with a dark frame. I have a dark beard and I wear a striped shirt today, black and white stripes. I'm in my sitting room. We are now ready to start. What is Open Dialogo? Open Dialogo is a bilateral project that aims to facilitate bilateral cultural exchange through the sharing of knowledge and experiences between artists with and without disabilities and Italian and English organizations. The project is managed by Stopgap Dance Company and it is commissioned by the Arts Council England, the Italian Ministry of Culture, Director General for Entertainment, the Italian Cultural Institute in London, and the British Council. In this edition, 4 in-person residencies and 2 digital residencies were supported. In the in-person residencies, 2 English artists were hosted by 2 Italian organizations and 2 Italian artists were all hosted by 2 English organizations. For each of the 2 digital residencies, an Italian artist worked with an English artist online. Tonight, we have the opportunity to meet some of the protagonists of this edition. The webinar is divided into 2 parts. The first part will be dedicated to exploring the in-person residencies. Then we have a short break, and then we will have a conversation with one of the artists involved in the digital residencies. After that, all our guests will answer your questions. So please send to us your questions. Tell us whom they are addressed to during the 3 conversations. In order to send your questions, click on the Q&A icon bottom right on the screen, and you can write them there. Then we will have, at the end, a moment dedicated to the 3rd edition of Open Dialogo. So we now welcome the first guest. I ask Martin Wilson from the English organization Teen Arts to join us together with Italian artists Marta Bellu and Laura Luccioli.
Hello.
Ciao, ciao.
Would you like, shall I start with my audio description, my visual description, sorry. So my name is Martin. I am the director of Teen Arts, a dance company based in Durham, which is in the northeast of England. I'm a white male with a short beard, no hair, black rimmed glasses, and I'm wearing a pale green jumper. My background is a white slide with a Teen Arts logo.
Grazie mille, Martin.
Thank you so much, Martin. I would also like to welcome Marta and Laura. Kindly join us now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to you. Please describe yourselves, if possible, and tell us who you are. Shall I start? Ciao, my name is Marta Bellu. I'm she, her. I'm a white woman, age 37. I have short hair with curly hair. I wear glasses. I'm wearing a black jumper. This room is very big and very nice. There are paintings on the walls. I'm a dancer, a choreographer, and a psychologist, and have been working in the field of inclusive dance for people with intellective disability for 10 years now. My name is Laura Lucioli. I'm a white woman. I'm 31 years old. I have long hair, light brown in color. I have light blue color eyes. I wear simple clothes, dark blue. I'm wearing trousers and a sweater. And I'm a dancer. And I'm a resident in dance laboratories. Thank you. Thank you very much for this introduction. Now I would kindly ask Martin to tell us briefly about the project that you accomplished thanks to the support of Open Dialogo. Briefly, please.
I will be brief. But first, I must say a huge thank you to Stopgap Dance and the British Council. You offered us, Marta, Laura, Francesco, Angela, and our team the possibility to make artistic and personal connections, which I think will last for many years, which we're very grateful for. Taking place over 1 week and based in Durham in the northeast of England, our collaboration was focused on knowledge and practice. There were 3 elements to our residency. The first was practical activities and workshops led by both partners, so we could experience each other's practice in a real live sense. The second was a series of conversations and meetings we held together with organisations and stakeholders, focusing on inclusive practice, leadership and international collaboration. And the final element was creating space and time for Marta, Laura and Francesco to continue research and development into their new work, and that culminated in a sharing and open discussion with an invited audience at the conclusion of the residency.
Grazie mille, Martin.
Thank you very much, Martin. So you really depicted a wonderful experience, and so thank you for telling us briefly about this very nice experience. And I could kindly ask Marta, Laura, and the others or Martin, who want to start, I don't know, to tell us about the reasons why you participated in this. I will start. I would like to start out by saying that it has been an amazing experience. I would like to thank Open Dialogo and all the people who made this possible. Thank you, Martin. Thanks to you all, really. The main reason which translated into this experience was the following. We know about the deep experience of teen art in dance pathways and experience for dance projects with people with cognitive, intellective disabilities, and so on and so forth. And this possibility to participate in the work enriched us very much. Your work supporting artists on stage with live performance, with artists with a disability was very interesting in that we managed to know about the various approaches and supports possible for this type of endeavor. And this was the reason why we decided to work with them. Thank you. Thank you, Marta. Martin, what can you say on that? What was the reason for you to start this collaboration?
Teen Arts, we're always very interested in collaboration, and particularly international collaborations, because a couple of reasons really. One is we think understanding and experiencing other people's practice is really good for our own reflection. We should be an open learning organization and never believe we have achieved or finished. We should always be pushing forwards to go further. The second reason was we had spoken with Marta and Laura on an open dialogo kind of session where you meet other people, and we were very warm to them. They would just talk so well about their work, and Laura was a voice in that, and there was an equalness and equity about the relationship. So that was, we have a personal connection we thought was interesting. And the third reason for us is about around that disabled leadership, and how do you support the balance between non-disabled and disabled people, both passionate about dance, who want to work together and remove those barriers so we can have the best practice together that represents our society and represents how art could be richer and better.
Grazie mille, Martin.
Thank you, Martin. Now I have a question to Laura. Laura, when was it that you felt the most impactful moment during the residency? Well, I enjoyed the workshop, especially because we shared our needs and our approaches. And then I also enjoyed, in general, the practical work in a workshop where I managed to learn new practices. Also, in order to try a new way of working and also of attending a class and teaching a class. Well, thank you, Laura. It has definitely been a very enriching experience. I have a very last question to you all, Laura, Marta, and Martin. So, briefly, when reflecting about and on your practice, is there any question or reflection that has emerged and that is still open there, or a teaching, something that you learned? Marta, would you like to start? Well, I would like to go back to what Martin said. We are both very interested in leadership for people with an intellectual disability, because that is really something which is of interest for us all. And we also reasoned a lot about the terminology, autonomy, interdependence, which are two possible parameters that we should reflect on more in order to have a better participation. We discussed a lot about these things, and we raised many questions about the possibility to create pathways leading to autonomy. And we should also think whether this autonomy is wished for and by whom, or perhaps should we think in terms of a new, more constructive model about this type of disability, and what about the future scenarios that we could imagine together with the artists. So this is, for me, the main thing. That is absolutely important. Thank you very much. Now, Martin, you have the floor.
Thank you, Marta. I guess the questions we have is, Tin Arts have been working for 26 years, and we had Marta, Laura, and Francesca, Angela, we had 7 days together. So how do you take so much time and experience and put it in a little window? So the second question is, how do we continue to meet and work together? So maybe another 26 years of us in our international UK collaboration with Italy would be great. What Marta said there, I think, is the biggest question, which was about, well, how do you bring structure and flexibility to ensure disabled leadership in your organization in a way that's meaningful and relevant, and not just doing it because it kind of looks like something you should be doing. And actually, there isn't one way to do that. There are many different ways. And what Marta and Laura have is a way that's particular or bespoke to them and is the right approach and a really good approach. And maybe what we have at Tin Arts is a different approach, and it's not better or worse. It's just different because it depends where you live and what art you're trying to make. So what we learned from that was that biggest question is like, how do you keep those flexibility about it, but also there's a structure around it. Yeah, I think that's the learning. So many things we could say. I think me and Martin and Laura could talk for an hour, but I think that's a brief bit of it.
Sono stracerte, sono così molto contento di vedere quanto sei
Thank
appassionato a
you.
questa.
I'm very glad to see how passionate this collaboration has been and this alliance, I would say, that you have created. So we look forward to the future. Laura, what will you take with you into the future, very briefly, Laura?
Lavorare con le persone nuove,
Working with new people in a group,
stare in compagnia,
being in the company of others, in a dance company, dancing together, being together, making new practices and experiences with other professional artists with the Down syndrome or other disabilities. This is what I take with me. Thank you, Laura. So we support your wish. It is a wonderful wish for a new, increasingly inclusive and increasingly accessible reality. So please be there, remain with us, Marta and Laura, because and Martin, of course, because you will certainly have questions to answer later on in the Q&A session. Now we start the second conversation with Alexandrina Hemsley, EU 103, and Chiara Organtini from Lavanderia a Vapore in Italy, supporting Alexandrina's residency. So welcome, Chiara and Alexandrina. I'm very happy to have you here tonight. I would like to ask you to describe yourself and tell us who you are. Chiara, will you please start? Ciao, ciao to all of you and ciao Aristide. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Chiara Organtini. I'm a woman in my 40s. I'm white, Caucasian. I have red hair. I wear a black jumper. I also have a black necklace. And in the background, you have, since I'm in a theater, some iron things and a black curtain. Now, Alexandrina.
Hi, everybody. Very, very good to be here. Thank you for having me. Yeah, my name's Alexandrina. I'm a mixed race person of African, Caribbean, and British heritage. My curly black hair is tied in 3 thick plaits on my head, and I have very big Dalmatian spot glasses on today. I have a velvet burgundy vest, and then I'm in a hotel room, so it's all a little bit out of this time and out of this world. It's got like dark red walls and like this very classic brass lampshades. Yeah, so kind of from another time today.
Grazie mille. Chiedo
Thank you.
entrambe di descriverci
Now I kindly
qual è stato il cuore
ask you both what was the core of the project that you realized thanks to Open Dialogo. I kindly ask Alexandrina to start this time, and then Chiara. Thank you.
Yeah, so we came together. We had been in touch since about 2023. Finding different ways of working together. And this was really the first time we could all come together in person for this really beautiful exchange between my company, U103, and then a production company that I work with called Map and Water. So it was also Nancy May Roberts and Elspeth Jonas. And we spoke through a lot around leadership and access. And then I was also able to develop movement material from my new work called Many Lifetimes. And then, yeah, we had these conversations around access, open movement sessions from the current piece with like both organizations. And then we also led intergenerational movement workshops.
Grazie Alexandrina.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alexandrina. Chiara, would you like to jump in? I believe that Alexandrina described very well the three fundamental aspects: an artistic research for the company, mutual research with the Lavanderia and the institutions, and a final workshop that was very successful in terms of quantity and quality. Thanks to this project, I would say the program was a dream because we managed to work together in person finally. And I would also like to add one final element to what Alexandrina said about the topic, the theme, which was based on care, cure, and repairing in the social, human, artistic dimension, and also in the institutional dimension. So the aspect that we both explored was what can institutions do to take care of people and repair things in social and human things. Thank you very much. Also, in this case, it has been a very intense project, very well structured and articulated, meaning complex. So I'm very happy that also your personal relationship has been improved and has continued thanks to Open Dialogo. So I kindly ask Chiara to tell us about the practice of Alexandrina. What was the element that was of utmost interest for you in Alexandrina's practice? Well, I would say that initially I was fascinated by the extreme artistic quality of her work, which is not a secondary thing, and also the emblem of quality that we found in the way the organization thinks of its own pathway. There is a very nice image of the new creation of Alexandrina and the company, which was a blanket patchwork, actually, with visual elements of texture and poems written on it in order to juxtapose soft elements which were radical, meaningful, and strongly linked also to a sort of political manifesto. And this really is an example of what has fascinated me most. It is radical softness, I would say, that has been so interesting. You devise practical tools, and they have given us a number of access driver elements that was precious to us in order to understand how to move forward with the project. And they shared in a very generous way a number of instruments for the development of the organization in terms of thinking in terms of access needs, assessment, and so on and so forth, things that were there from the start. And this was extremely concrete, and yet at the same time, it was never an imposition. It was never ideological. So they really managed to give us the opportunity to have a mutual exchange. It was really an opportunity for us to learn. And I hope that I did not speak at length. Not at all, Chiara. Thank you for describing so beautifully the concrete element also of the project. Alexandrina, you mentioned access. What did you find was specifically interesting in terms of access in the work of your partner? Access and dance, of course.
Yeah, I think there was just a real shining commitment to process and to how important that is to artistic creations, and how we cannot separate that from understanding access and how access changes over time and over location, particularly traveling. So I just really appreciated the openness and transparency of where both of our organizations were at, and what Chiara was speaking to around a kind of mutual exchange and mutual learning. I absolutely took so much of that on. I also found it really interesting that in Lavanderia's practice, the programming is always along such rich themes, like they're not afraid of complexity. And I think that also as a disabled artist is such a warm invitation not to have to, put yourself in one box or simplify. And then again, this very like strong core integration of community within their making, within their holding spaces for and a real like willingness and I share it same with you when I tell you as we do all of our projects, like a real we just need to keep understanding one another. We need to keep caring for one another. And that is as kind of essential as breathing. But I don't know, so many times, so many different pressures means we can also kind of ignore it or think somehow an organization can just keep running on without attending to these very real, very human processes. So yeah, I felt very held in that.
Grazie mille, Alexandrina.
Thank you, Alexandrina, for sharing your experience. I ask you something about the future. So, thinking about the future, what do you take with you into the future? Something you learned, something, a teaching, something that you will remember, let's say. It can also be a very practical thing. Alexandrina, if you want, you can start. Answer first.
O anche solo, insomma,
Oh, sorry, I didn't quite have my interpretation on, but I think I will just speak to the learnings. Again, something that Chiara shared actually around metabolism rates and how we can, again, apply this kind of embodied way of thinking to an organization. I think I'll definitely take that with me and how we each hold leadership positions. I think, yeah, also on a practical level, like just the time to research the piece meant that I could really shape the current material around specific things. And I really began reflecting on how much autobiography really does shape my choreographic material. And that was kind of a timing thing. That was I hadn't been back to Italy since a certain big event in my life. And to then return and feel so safely held, it meant I could actually really start to explore some quite tender material. And that wasn't accidental. And I think also this thing that Lavanderia do so well is how to hold the legacy of a space, like the architecture, the histories, and the power of like art making to really dialogue and activate and shift these local histories. I think I'll really take that with me. And then again, just like the trust in process, because everything can feel like such a hustle and such a thing of like trying to prove yourself all the time and prove your value. And it was just such a, I would say this is also maybe across the Open Dialogo program, this real trust that the process is valuable and necessary in order to, yeah, shift our ideas along.
grazie mille, Alexandrina.
Thank you, Alexandrina. We will take home your very important reflection about relations, about time and legacy. So, Chiara, would you like to add something? Well, there is perhaps one thing that I would like to ask. We raised one question, which is the following: what risks are we ready to take and accept? And this is something that an organization sometimes is concerned to do, because of course it's a question of responsibility, but intimacy access is something that we take from them, and it comes from Jan Mingus. This was passed on to us as a knowledge. And the ideal that you can be in a mutual vulnerability. It is not so that organizations should always performing at best. We can try and must try and do things, and then your effort and your endeavor is rewarded. So this is still an open issue, and at the same time, it is a solution that can help us and guide us into the future. Thank you. Thank you very much for your wonderful contributions. So we will come back to you for the Q&A session in a moment. Unfortunately, we cannot take a break because we started a bit late. So we jump the break that we had foreseen. I kindly ask Claire Brumby to join me for the third conversation on digital residency.
So I'm just going to introduce myself. So my name is Claire Brumby. I identify as working class, neurodivergent and hard of hearing. I'm an undisciplined and socially engaged artist based in Liverpool, UK, which is the northwest of England. Yay! I am a white female in my early 50s with long hair and a fringe. It's brown, dark brown at the bottom and the ends, and greying overall on the top. I'm wearing a black racer style top, and I have a silver necklace which has got like little initial C, like a crescent moon, and big light brown circular earrings I'm wearing with a cut-out hole in the middle. And the background of where I am, it's like a white wall with rather oversized flowers, just to give it that summer feel. So my project was the online remote residency for Open Dialogo, and it was a skills-based exchange. And I was partnered with the Italian choreographer and performer Silvia Gribaldi, who was absolutely amazing. The focus of the residency was for me to share my deep listening practice with Silvia, and for Silvia to also share key tools and best practice for working with and engaging older disabled women in a bid to expand my research working with autobiographical narratives around the menopause and to make my practice more inclusive.
Grazie mille Claire per
Thank
questo
you, Claire. Thank you
progetto. Grazie mille. E ti chiedo
for
che
your
cosa ti ha
description
interessato maggiormente
and
di questa
introduction.
tua
What was most interesting for you in the practice of your partner, of Sylvia? Can you hear me, Claire? Yes.
I've got a few notes here. So my overall impressions of the residency and the collaboration, I think like I speak for both Sylvia and myself in that it was the tale of the unexpected. We didn't really know what to expect. So the way that the residency worked was we assigned kind of like, 5 2-hour sessions where we could, I would share my practice first of all in the first hour, and then we'd have a break, and then Sylvia would share her practice. So the most amazing thing was that it was so beautiful that from the very first hour, I think, of the session, we realised we had so much in common, and it was just like really magical how our practices are aligned through this experience, really. We're both really concerned, our practices are both really concerned with kind of like working with older women primarily, and also injecting a lot of fun into movement practice, really. And that definitely was the case with Sylvia's practice. And I think the main thing, I think, was that deep listening, which is a practice developed by Pauline Oliveras, Heloise Gold and Ione, is a practice based on 3 modalities of listening, movement and dreaming. And this is really done to create community. And one of the things that I noticed and got from Sylvia's practice is that there were a lot of kind of exercises and key techniques that I could use to continue to create and engage people, create community and engage people in movement work around kind of like, that stage of life of growing older, really.
Grazie mille Claire, bellissimo.
Thank you, Claire. Wonderful. I ask you a last question. When reflecting upon your own practice, what are the teachings or reflections that have emerged? How did this exchange support your artist practice?
The main things that for me that stood out, it's given me like a bit of understanding of how I talk about my practice, really, because my research into the menopause is in order to give women visibility, really, because there becomes a stage of a woman's life where we just become invisible, I feel. And working with Sylvia really made me change or think about the language that I use around that practice and how it is about the acceptance of the body and how I can move that forward with participants that I'm working with. We did a lot of exercises about really kind of showing our appreciation for the other pair's participants body basically, and their existence in a sense. So it was I think for me, it's about really, really embracing that my practice is about the social perception of like the body, just as much as I suppose Sylvia's might be. Another thing I think I will take forward is this idea that it's okay to deviate. I'm very kind of like I can plan very well for sessions. And so sometimes there's a fear of, like not having enough flexibility in there really in sessions when I'm doing workshops with people. And so what I learned from Sylvia is like not to be too much of the leader in a sense and let it be more participant led. And also, just trust that things can happen organically as they did in our sessions online anyway. So, just to transfer and take that forward into my own practice. I think the most important thing for me that I've possibly taken away from this experience is, aside from some really great, techniques to draw upon and develop, and also the personal kind of like connection I had with Sylvia, and also that potential that, there could be future work that we can do together, another future collaboration that would be really brilliant. And we both kind of spoke about that at the end. So I think for me, it's about really trusting. She gave me some really great feedback about how calm I made her feel through my delivery of the deep listening sessions. And sometimes you just don't have any idea, or you cannot gauge, how people are receiving, workshops or sessional work. And so that was really valuable for me. And it's about like moving forward and like really trusting that like, I'm creating some value through my work. So yeah, that was something that was really, really great and positive.
Grazie mille, Claire. È fantastico
Thank you,
sentire
Claire.
veramente
Thank you.
questo
It is still not so nice to
veramente
hear that this meeting, this encounter, this relation has triggered changes also for your future practice, and sharing different viewpoints, different practices has been of mutual enrichment. As we can hear from your experience, you described things very, very well. Thank you. We are so sorry that, unfortunately, Silvia Grabaudi could not join us this evening. Due to a prior commitment she had, she could not join us. So, Claire, let's grasp this opportunity to say hi to Silvia together. So, to convey our regards to Silvia Grabaudi. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I invite all participants and panelists now to have a Q&A session. And I kindly ask the audience to write the questions they have in the chat or in the Q&A box. You have really, our panelists have given us so much in terms of inputs and insights. So we can take your questions on that, or we can also take questions from panelists to panelists, whatever.
Ok, per il momento non abbiamo domande dal
It seems that there are no questions from our participants, online participants, but we have a few minutes left. So I kindly invite panelists to actually share with us a final thought about the project, if you like. And then we will have the final session during which we will be given information about the future of Open Dialogo.
I'm happy to
Yes,
jump in.
Alexandrina.
My final thought, I think, about the residency program is how rare it is for spaces to experiment are becoming, and how rare places for international exchange are also becoming. So that's been a fantastic part of it.
Grazie mille Alexandrina, mi unisco anch'io
Thank you, Alexandrina. I I also share your opinion and your wish, because we really hear from your contributions how enriching these exchanges have been. 5-7 days is a very short period, a very intense period, evidently. But I believe that we can perceive really the value of this experience and of the mutual experience, and what you have given to the partners in the projects that you had. And also this very fast webinar we had tonight has given me the opportunity to really breathe in your experience. And also it's so nice to hear that you also want to continue working together in the future. I really hope that this type of program continues in the future, because it is fundamental. I don't know whether other panelists want to take the floor.
Sì, c'era una delle domande che ci
I'm
stanno
Actually,
happy. Oh, go on.
Oh, scusa,
I'm sorry,
sarò brevissima.
Chiara and then Martin. I will be very brief. One of the questions that we asked with Alexandrina and Nancy and the others is, how can we change the narration? And in this respect, we said that oftentimes we apply in calls and we make promises and we promise that we will achieve results, while what we need is a space to reason together about access. And it takes time to do that. It takes time and space. And Open Dialogo was very precious in this respect, because we did not have to pretend to do something else. And so I'm optimistic for the future, because I hear that there is a third edition. It is a sort of challenge for us all that I would like to offer you. Let's group together, let's join together and write together a program where we can really devise together a description of the spaces that we need for policymakers. This is vital. We need to have a space for research. It is essential, I would say. We need to fail and find solutions. And then Martin, did you want to take the floor?
I just wanted to add one quick thing, and which is, I am here, but I represent the tens and hundreds of people who are, and everybody at Tin Arts has benefited from Marta, Laura, Francesco, and Angela being with us. And it helps us to remind us that we are global citizens. And although Brexit happened, I'm sorry, some of us still wish to have that international, worldwide view on who we are and where we identify. So this kind of program is crucial to keep those borders open.
E questo sicuramente Open Dialogo è uno
Absolutely. Open Dialogo is one of the channels to keep borders open and continue engaging in a dialogue. Very well.
L'ultima volta al pubblico, se avete, perché c'è ancora spazio forse per una domanda.
We can take one question from the audience, possibly.
Le nostre invitate. Bene. Aspettiamo ancora qualche secondo.
A few seconds left if questions come in from the chat.
There are questions in the Q&A chat. There's a question around inspiration and also trust, how trust was established in such a short time.
Grazie mille Alexandrina per il supporto.
Thank you, Alexandrina, for supporting me in seeing that there are questions, actually.
La fiducia è stata menzionata diverse
Trust
volte.
was mentioned several times. So I take that question. How did you reach trust and establish trust in such a short time? That is the question. I think that this is a question open to all. If I may, I would like to answer. Well, for sure, through the practice of the encounter, which has been very strong, and recognizing and acknowledging each other, both as individuals and as a community sharing aspirations and ambitions, in the practice of dance and also in the exchange of what surrounds us and what we work at. So I would say that this strong sharing has made it possible for us to immediately delve into a very deep, reaching exchange, which has been very diversified too. It is a sort of bubble, I would say, that united you also at a distance, because there was so much synergy. And indeed, yes, it was a need, I would say. It was a need, a necessity, an important thing to have this meeting, this encounter. A very last question. Have you developed and drafted dossiers of your experience, documents about your experience? I think that people would really appreciate having your work on paper, material that you produced. Thank you so much to you all for being with us tonight. I'm really happy and I feel full of energy after listening to you and your experience and viewpoint. Now I would like to give the floor to Laura Jones, artist director of Stopgap Dance Company, so that she can tell us about the third edition of Stopgap. So Laura, you have the floor. Laura Jones.
Hello there. Hi, I'm Laura Jones. I am co-artistic director of Stopgap Dance Company. I am a white female with reddish brown wavy hair, and I'm wearing a deep dark pink purple jumper with a loose neck, and I have in the background some sort of beige and teal floral wallpaper. Thank you. First of all, I wanted to say thank you so much to all of our panelists for joining us today and sharing their rich insights and experiences of their projects. And also thank you for Arti for hosting the event this evening. And of course, thank you also to all of you who have attended. I really enjoyed seeing in the chat people introducing themselves and from the many, many different countries that people have attended. So thank you very much for joining us. So having listened to the insights from some of those involved in this most recent version of Open Dialogo, I'm sure that you will agree with me how important the positive impact of this exchange program is in bringing together disabled dance artists, influencers, producers, and venues to share experience and knowledge of best practice, to create connections, to improve representation, and to advance the culture of disability and dance. Therefore, it gives me great pleasure to be able to officially announce that we will be running a third year of the Open Dialogo programme. This will enable us to continue supporting these collaborative projects across the UK and Italy and to increase their impact. So we will be officially launching this in September this year. So do keep an eye out on Stopgap's website, where you will be able to find more information. And also please sign up to Stopgap's newsletter so you can be the first to hear any further announcements, all further announcements and details of when applications are open. If you can't wait until then for your next Open Dialogo fix, you can also head to Stopgap's website, where you can find 4 more Open Dialogo webinars, links to their recordings that took place in 2023. And these covered the topics of dance landscapes, rigor and inclusion, creative access, and disabled leadership. And you can also find out more information about previous artists and residencies. And as I said, they are on the Stopgap website. Currently, if you head to the Learn and Practice tab and then Professional Training and Resources. Finally, I want to say that, of course, none of this would be possible without the generous support of the project funders. So I would like to extend our great thanks to the Arts Council England, to the Italian Ministry of Culture, to the Italian Cultural Institute of London, and the British Council. Thank you so much for your generosity in making this programme be able to exist, and therefore all of the rich experiences and connections that have come through this. Thank you. And then finally, I'm handing back over to Aristide to close for us.
Grazie mille Laura.
Thank you, Laura. Kindly visit the website of Stopgap about the program in the past and in the future. I would like to thank all the participants. I would like to thank Laura. I would like to thank the organizers. I would like to thank the organizations and the artists participating. I would like to thank Alexandra Emsley, Chiaro Gantini, Martin Wilson, Marta Bello, Laura Lucioli, and Claire Bramby. I thank all people who made this webinar possible: Sonia Caimi and Antonella Iasso, interpreters of Italian Sign Language, Erin Hutchking and Samantha Baines for British Sign Language, Claudia Marsilli, interpreter in spoken English and Italian, Ewan from 121 Captions for live captioning, Charlotte Mackey and Annie Rose Grantham, and all the technical organizational staff of Stopgap Dance Company, Laura Jones, co-artistic director of Stopgap Dance Company. And I would also like to thank myself for the institutions that have financed the project and supported the project. Thank you for making this project real. So we have seen tonight the wonderful results and outcome of this great program. So I would like once again to thank the Arts Council England, the Italian Ministry of Culture, Directorate General for Entertainment, Italian Institute of Culture in London, and British Council. Thank you all for attending and enjoy the evening.